I got only one question in here. Is Pure Land symbolic? If not, and it exists in reality, where is it? I don't know if you have studied all these different sutras about Amitabha's land. If you study the sutra, then you know what it is, because it mentions the location of the Pure Land, of the land of happiness. It mentions that the location, how many kotis of miles away from the west to the west. Sometimes it does not matter where is it now, because science may not have reached a level that they could actually go there. If scientific development has reached a level that you can go to millions and millions of miles away out of the galaxy to the west, then you may get there. But science cannot. And also science can only deal with empirical experiments. In the study of life, basically you have two broad categories of study. One is based on the empirical study, empirical evidences, and one is based on experiential. If you rely just on empirical, which science do, rely on empirical, what does that mean? You're relying on your senses. Scientists rely on the eyes to see in laboratories. Scientists rely on the ears to listen. Science relies on the nose to smell. Scientists rely on the tongue to taste. Scientists depend very much on empirical evidences arising out of interaction between the senses and the outside world. That's empirical, based on empirical studies. However, in philosophy, in religious studies, or in mystical study, whatever you want to call it, it's not just empirical, it's experiential. You really have to experience it through to find it. And sometimes these experiences cannot be expressed clearly. It is an individual thing. It's an experience. Say if I die and I came back, this after-death experiences, I can only tell you from the words I know, from all the imaginations I could tell you. There could be something I cannot explain it to you. We better combine the two. So if you ask me, where is the Pure Land physically? It's written in the sutra where? It's thousands and thousands of miles, millions of miles to the west. 1,000 or 2,000 years ago, if you're in China, say 1,000 years ago, not even 1,000, but 500 or 600 years ago, if you were in China, somebody or a friend of Christopher Columbus told you, hey, that's North America, and that's how you travel there. Would you believe in it? I don't believe it. What you're saying is a fantasy. Where's North America? How do you travel there? Millions, thousands of miles away? Because you can't get there. Then later, Christopher Columbus discovered America. And then he showed to the whole world there's America. But before his discovery, nobody would believe it. Nobody would imagine it. It's out of the imagination. There's so many things that the scientists gradually found and discovered, which has already been unraveled by the Buddha many, many years ago. If you have built enough experiences, if you have enough training in clinking up the website to go there, then you can go there. Not your body. You have to shed this body. Your consciousness go there. Or your soul go there. Does not, don't question me why, but Buddhism does not mention the soul. No, that's just a word. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Physical body is burdened with desires. When this physical body is burdened with desires, the desirous karmic energy pull you down. You can't go there. You're too heavy, so to speak, analogically. You cannot go there with this body, because this body is too impure to go there. I've read sutras in Chinese that there are guardian angels from Rupadhatu. You know, guardian angel, we call them heavenly sent beings. Heavenly beings still have to die, you know, but they are at have a higher level than us. The heavenly beings, millions of them, you know, They are in a different level. We are human beings with this level, the heavenly beings at the level. And there are 28 levels of heavens also. And heaven beings still have to reincarnate because they still have karma. Some heavenly beings, if they happen to pass to this world of desires, they squeeze their nose. They don't want to smell because it's all filthy. They don't want to get too close. Imagine if you go to a toilet, if that toilet is really dirty, you don't want to go in there. You want to bypass it to go somewhere else. It's the same thing. This is a world with desires, world with impurities, with dirt, with pollutions, that the heavenly bodies don't want to come here. And then where are heavens? Do you believe in the heavens? Is it symbolic? I don't think it is symbolic. There's such a thing as heaven. Whatever they are, Pure Land, a land of paradise, or Amitabha's land, they exist, but they're not real. Do you know what I mean? They exist, but they're not real. Why? Because they exist in conditions. They are sunyata. Heaven is sunyata. Pure Land is sunyata. They exist on causalities. They exist with conditions fulfilled. It's just like this cup. I say this cup, small cup, exists, but it's not real. Because it exists on conditions only. If I bang it, it doesn't exist anymore. Or if nobody has the concept of making this cup, it won't exist. This cup exists on causality. It physically exists, but it's empty because it does not have its real nature. It exists on conditions. It is impermanent. So I call this, it exists physically, but it's unreal. Unreal with regard to its self-permanent nature. That Pure Land that we're talking about is there, waiting for you. But it exists in conditions. On the conditions that there are still sentient beings who have to be enlightened. On the conditions that there are people there that still have to learn. If everybody in that university is a fully graduate, a postdoc, with nothing more to learn, why university? If everybody in that university has reached a certain level that there's no more learning, so what do you need the university for? Then the university is dissolved. There's no more university. So the university exists because of defects, because we still have to look for perfection. We still have something to learn. You and your husband relationship exists, whether there's pleasurable relationship, unpleasurable relationships, vicious relationship, benevolent relationship. It exists. Physically, it exists, the relationship. But it's unreal. It's impermanent. It exists in conditions. When one person dies, there's no more relationship. Or it may end any time. Who knows? So you cannot have permanent existence in there. It doesn't have its real true nature. It is sunyata. And if you don't know sunyata, then you haven't learned Buddhism at all. That's the first course of Buddhism, sunyata. So don't attach to anything. It exists only on a temporary basis with all the conditions fulfilled. And on what conditions they exist, some could be bad, some could be good, some could be pleasurable, some could be unpleasurable. Some leads to happiness, some leads to tragedy. The Buddha said, don't attach to them. It's because of this attachment that makes us vulnerable. It's because of this vulnerability that makes us suffer. We are vulnerable to all kinds of impermanence events, all kinds of impermanent relationships. All right, that's enough for the first question. Unless you find it's not satisfactory, raise your hand, I can explain it to you again. You have any counter arguments? No? Am I that good? I don't think so. Second, next, if we can rely on Buddha's wishes to teach the Pure Land, does not this free us of working ourselves and without 1 hour defilement. What it means is the Buddha, Amitabha, to help us to go to the Pure Land, then we don't have to work anymore. We don't have to meditate. We don't have to observe the precepts, because at the juncture of death, Buddha will come in and receive me into his land. I think you're too naive. Because going there is also based on the conditions fulfilled. Have you cultivated enough conditions for you to go over there? One of these conditions in the Chinese language is xin, yuan, xing. Your faith, your vow, and your practice. Anybody without faith, vow, practice, anybody without the urge to eliminate mental afflictions, without the urge for enlightenment, without the urge to be a bodhisattva, without the urge to obey all the precepts so that they don't hurt any other people, they cannot go there. Because if you have done all kinds of vicious actions, speech, your karmic energy would stop you from going over there, you yourself. Said if you're always committing lying, sexual misconduct, killing and stealing and all that, all these vicious acts and evil speech, then you feel that karmic energy that stops you from going over there. Because you have heavy bad karma, although you always, you always want to go there and you want to practice, but at the same time you're not purifying yourself. You're doing all kinds of, you're not doing enough work to purify yourself at the same time. You just leave it alone. I just chant Amitabha and I can steal, I can kill, I can commit sexual misconduct, I can do whatever I want because then at the juncture of death, I've been chanting Amitabha and I registered with that university as the Reverend told me, then at the juncture of death, he will receive me into this Pure Land. That's not the case, because at the juncture of death, you are so filled with this bad, vicious karmic energy that you don't see your way. You can't see your way. You're confused. For example, you have suffered from Alzheimer's disease. You can't even chant. If you passed away suddenly, then you don't have time to even click onto your website of the Pure Land. So remember, in order to free yourself of this vicious karmic energy, you really have to obey the precepts. You really have to be a good person. You always have to be compassionate. You always learn to eliminate all your mental afflictions. You are not as greedy. You're not greedy. You're not jealous. You don't have jealousy, greedy, hatred, violence behavior, fraudulence behavior. So you really have to do it at the same time. You can't just rely on the Buddha. So it doesn't mean that if you chant Amitabha, then you don't have to do your work. You still have to do your work. And that chanting of Amitabha, that feature, is just to ensure you that in addition to your meditation and your refinement of the behavior, just to ensure you, what if you can't be successful in your enlightenment? There's still a place that you can go to. What if you can't become a Surapana in this lifetime? What if you can't become a Sakritagama, Anagama, and an Arahat? Then you still go to that Pure Land, where you can continue to study. Then you're already out from reincarnation, life and death. No more life and death for you first. It's not that easy. There was a true case in Hong Kong, which I can tell you. There was a devout Buddhist. He'd been practicing the Pure Land Buddhism, Namo Amitabha, Amitabha, every day, very conscientious. He devoted his time to it. And after retirement at 65, he chanted 2-3 hours per day. And then when he was about 79 or 78, he had a sickness and he was dying. Then his whole family members, all his family members, moved into the room and chant for him, Namo Amitabha, Namo Amitabha, chant for him to induce in his mind that he should be continuously chanting Amitabha so that he will be receiving to the Pure Land, because he's been chanting for his lifetime already. Here's a large family, cousins and nephews and distant relatives all come and chant Namo Amitabha. And there were kids too. And there were a few kids, and after chanting for about 1 or 2 hours, one of the kids, the small kids about 5 5 or 6 years old, all of a sudden get very excited and fearful, rushing to his mom and said, "Oh, scary, Mom, scary. What happened to you?" And there are some ugly boys, very ugly boys, want to rush into the room. Very ugly. Actually, those are ghost spirits. And there are two boys standing at the right door trying to push them back. Oh, it's very scary, very scary. Later they interpret that. How did they interpret it? Because he had done a lot of bad things. All those he heard came back to get him at the juncture of death, to prevent him from going to the Pureland. But there are two guardians, security guards right standing at the door, trying to stop them from coming in. Who are these two security guards? I don't know. Maybe there are some good guardian angels sent from the Pureland because of his deeds, so trying to stop them from coming in. The boys can see the spirits. Only one boy in there. And he told his mom. And the mom, of course, told the other Buddhists, and they say, "Oh yeah, maybe." Well, then they continue to chant and devote all their mind to the chanting. The boy later told the mom that, "They're not coming, and no more ugly boys anymore. Ghost spirits look ugly, you know." So at the juncture of death, there are your enemies, people you hurt, animals you hurt. They're coming back to get you and stop you from going there. All right, so that's the second question. Third question, apart from the above, what are other differences between Theravada and Mahayana theories? Quite a few differences, but the foundations are the same. Say, for example, this Pure Land approach is a little different because you rely on Amitabha's wish. At the juncture of death, you go to his land so that you don't reincarnate. That's one of the differences. There are many other differences. For example, in the consciousness approach, the Theravada only mentioned 6 consciousnesses. But in the Mahayana, all the sutras mention 8 consciousnesses. Now, what are the 6? The eye consciousness, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. 6. But other than these 6, Mahayana also mentioned the mano consciousness and the alaya consciousness. It also explains the ego consciousness and the storage consciousness. The Mahayana is in a lot more details. In the Theravada, it says your mind is in 2 parts, your thinking mind and your emotional mind. When you interact with the environments, both minds works. And usually your emotional mind is more powerful. When you're in conflict, it's always the emotional mind that wins. That's the reason why you are mad, you're jealous, you're angry, you're crying, you're emotional reacting to things. You're not using your rational thinking mind. This rational thinking mind is the 6th consciousness. Do we actually have a pure mind? Is this thinking mind pure or impure? There are some questions that in the Theravada it does not give full answers to. Maybe they think that it's not important right now at our level to investigate more into it. As long as you practice to be Srutapana, Anagami, Sakritagami, and Arahat, you out from samsara, you don't need to get into details. But in the Mahayana, it has a lot of details, volumes and volumes of details, that you were amazed sometimes at the wisdom of the Buddha's following philosophers. You're just astonished. Don't think that the Theravada is inferior or superior. It's the same. With the Theravada, it's enough to get out from samsara, life and death. Sometimes if you are egoistic and think that I am the Mahayana practitioner, I believe in the Chinese Buddhism, which is more superior, you don't humbilize yourself. That is the defect in your personality. You're already obstructing your ego. You already have a high ego. I am in Ivy League, I'm in Harvard, I'm the best. And you are in, I don't know, you are in a 3rd level university. You're not as good as me. I am the best because we are in Harvard. But there are many, many best leaders coming out not from Harvard, from the very low level universities too. Don't think that the best boys' schools in Vancouver is St. George's. Oh, my son is from St. George's. I'm from St. George's, and we'll be leaders. We're political leaders. But there are quite a few leaders, prime ministers, who came from public school, low-level public school. They didn't come from St. George's. It's not the school. It is the school. It's not the school too. The school provides you a very good curriculum. If you really conscientiously follow the curriculum, you may be faster. You may be more prone to enlightenment. There's no one answer to say, this is it. No. No subjective one approach to anything. Flexibility. But I think whatever you do, first of all, humbleize yourself. Don't say that, I'm from this school, I'm from that school. You already have a very high ego. Get rid of that.